Hey kids, have you ever felt like you were different from everyone else? Did you know that that can be a good thing? 1 Peter 2:9 tells us that we as Christians are chosen by God to be different. We are royal because we are in the family of the King of Kings. We are to be holy because God is holy. And it even uses the word peculiar in the King James Version. Peculiar is another word that means odd or strange. We may seem strange to some people because we don't use some of the same words that the world uses. We may not be singing the same songs that our friends sing or watch the same shows or movies. We should be trying to do what is right when others are doing wrong. So, we can sure seem strange because of that. But we have a high calling to serve the King of Kings, our Creator, and our Savior who died in our place. This is our reasonable service. In today's Bible story, we will talk about a time where a boy named Daniel and his friends chose to obey God, and everyone around them thought it was strange. Now, you might be thinking, ooh, I know the story. This must be the story where Daniel's friends refused to bow to an idol even though the king commanded it and everyone else was doing it, and they got thrown into a fiery furnace and God was with them and they didn't burn. Well, no, it's actually not that story. Now you may be thinking, oh, this must be the one where the king made a law that you couldn't pray to God and Daniel did anyway and got thrown into the lion's den and the lions didn't eat him. Actually, no, this isn't that story either. How about I tell you right after we review our Bible verse? Okay? Let's say it together. Zephaniah 3:17. The Lord thy God in the midst of thee is mighty. He will save, he will rejoice over thee with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over thee with singing. Zephaniah 3:17. This verse tells us that God is always with us, just like God was with Daniel and his friends after they got taken from their homes in Judah and were forced to be servants to the king in Babylon. Let's find out what happens to them by looking in the book of Daniel chapter 1. While Jehoiakim was king over Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, attacked Jerusalem. Because God's people had sinned, God allowed King Nebuchadnezzar to take over Jerusalem. Nebuchadnezzar's men gathered a group of young men from Jerusalem, the strongest, healthiest, smartest, to Babylon to serve Nebuchadnezzar. The king gave the young men special meals. They ate the same food and drank the same drink the king did. They would be trained for 3 years. Then they would be ready to serve the king. 4 of the men from Judah were different from the others. They worshipped the Lord. Their names were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. While in Babylon, their names were changed to Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Daniel and his friends wanted to continue serving and obeying God, even in captivity. God's law told Daniel that he was not allowed to eat some of the food that the king gave to the other men. Daniel asked for permission to eat other foods. Daniel said, "Try this for 10 days. Let us eat only vegetables and drink only water. Then see if we are healthier than the other men." The guard agreed. At the end of 10 days, Daniel and his friends looked healthier than the young men who had eaten the king's food. After that, the guard allowed Daniel and his friends to keep drinking water and eating vegetables. God was pleased with Daniel and made him wise. God gave Daniel the ability to understand visions and dreams. When their training was over, Daniel and his friends stood before the king. The king saw that they were smarter than the wise men who worked for the king. Daniel served the king for many years. Daniel was faithful to God, and God blessed him. In an even greater way, Jesus was always faithful to God. He came to earth and followed God's plan to save sinners. Those who trust in Jesus receive God's forgiveness and blessing. And this is true for us as well. We should want to obey God because of Jesus and all He has done for us. He is always with us. When we obey Him with our whole heart, God takes care of us and blesses us in ways we could never imagine.